In the name of Allah, who is the most beneficent and most merciful. My name is Areej from BS Chemistry. I am going to present the topic types of paints and their applications. Types of paints and their applications. Paints have the capability to enhance the look of our house and also aid in renovating it beautifully. There are mainly 7 types of paints: oil paint, enamel paint, emulsion paint, cement paint, bituminous paint, aluminium paint, and anti-corrosive paint. First, I will talk about oil paint. Oil paint. The base of this paint is white lead and is usually applied in 3 coats: primer, undercoat, and finish. This kind of paint is available in 2 finishes such as matte and glossy. Being durable and affordable, oil paint is one of the most popular choices and it is easy to apply and clean. You, we can commonly use this paint on walls, doors, windows, and metal objects as well. In spite of having various benefits, these also have some disadvantages. Oil paint is not suitable for and takes more time to dry completely. Second type of paint is enamel paint. This kind of paint has lead or zinc to varnish. We can get them in various colors with added pigmentations. This is a form of hard and glossy coating and easy to clean. Talking about durability, enamel paints are very long lasting, waterproof, and chemically resistant to offer good coverage and color retention. Enamel paints are also used for various applications such as interior and exterior of walls, wood, doors, and flooring, windows, stairs and concrete, plaster, glass, metals. However, these are slow drying paints and require a titanium coating before application. Third type of paint is emulsion paint. This type of paint uses binding materials such as polyvinyl acetate and polystyrene, and also contains dyes like cobalt and manganese. These are available on different bases such as water or oil, and their pigments are used to make different shades of emulsion paints. Emulsion paints dry fast and are hardened in nature, and we can easily clean the surfaces with water. These paints are durable, offer good color retention, and alkali resistance. We can use this kind of paint for walls, ceilings, and masonry work. The fourth type of paint is cement paint. This kind of paint in powder form, it is easy to mix with water to achieve nice paint consistency. Cement paint has white or colored cement as the base and also contains pigments, accelerators, and other additives. This is the durable and waterproof kind of paint type and commonly used in rough applications. The fifth type of paint is bituminous paint. It is made from dissolved asphalt or tar black color. This paint is waterproof and alkali resistant. However, if our place is exposed to the sun, this paint is not suitable for us as it deteriorates in Sunlight. This paint is used in underwater ironworks, concrete foundations, and wooden surfaces and iron pipes to provide rust resistance. The sixth type of paint is aluminum paint. It is made by mixing aluminum particles with oil varnish. This paint is corrosion resistant, electricity, and weather resistant also. Aluminum paint is used on metals and wood, gas tanks, oil tanks, water pipes, and radiators. The seventh and last type of paint is anti-corrosive paint. This type of paint is chemical resistant and made from linseed oil, zinc chrome, and fine sand. We can get this in black color, and this is durable in nature. It is easy to pockets and used for metallic surfaces and pipes. Next, I will discuss properties of an ideal paint. There are some properties of an ideal paint. It should be possible to apply easily and freely. It should dry in reasonable time. It should form hard and durable surface. It should not be harmful to the health of workers. It should not be easily affected by atmosphere. It should possess attractive and pleasing appearance. It should form a thin film of uniform nature. It should not crack. It should possess good spreading power. It should be cheap. The paint should not show cracks after drying. When applied to surface, paint should form a thin film of uniform nature. Paints must not allow molds and algae to grow on it. It should be elastic, must be able to withstand change in temperature. Here I will discuss paint failure. What is paint failure? Paint failure is the loss or reduction of paint's coating bond strength between coats and the substrate. Paint failure occurs when a protective coating of paint fails to protect the substrate, providing an aesthetic look or serve some other intended function. The initiation of paint failure is often slow, but once started, it propagates quickly. Because paint is used as corrosion protection, paint failure increases the rate of corrosion and material damage. Paint failure is also known as paint adhesion loss. The main reason for paint failure after application on the surface are applicator and improper treatment of the surface. Paints or coatings are the principal methods of corrosion protection for all steel structures. All paints, and particularly many of the more advanced coatings, are complex chemical mixtures that must react in place on the surface on which they are applied. These are applied to the surface as a very thin film, which must withstand adverse environments. When this film deteriorates, it is known as paint failure. Paint failure may be due to paint shrinkage and movement over the surface or moisture penetration of the paint inside pinholes or cracks. Primary causes of paint failure. The primary causes of paint failure are moisture, inadequate surface preparation, improper application of paints, sun exposure, inappropriate design, and weathering. These are the causes of. Here, I'm going to discuss defects in painting. There are 14 common types of defects in painting: blistering and peeling, fading, graining, chalking, running, sagging, flaking, blooming, wrinkling, flashing, sponification. First is blistering and peeling. Blistering and peeling are defects in which swelling of the paint film occurs. The swelling is caused by the formation of an air bubble under the paint film due to presence of moisture of oil or grease matter. If it is due to moisture, then it is called peeling, and if it is due to oil and grease matter, then it is called blistering. Blistering peeling occur due to imperfect seasoning of timber, usage of excess oil in final coat, imprisoned gases between paint coats. These defects can be eliminated by using porous paints like emulsion paints instead of non-porous paints such as oil paints and enamel paints. Second is fading. Fading is the discoloration of the paint surface. This is mainly due to atmospheric agencies such as sunlight, etc. To prevent fading or discoloration, weathering resistance should be used in the paint. Third is graining. The paint film should be opaque enough to cover the background surface. The visibility of background due to insufficient opacity of paint film even after the final coat is called as graining. Fourth is chalking. Chalking is the formation of powder on the painted surface. This is due to use of insufficient oil in the primer. It can be prevented by using sufficient oil in the primer, which is applying paint at recommended spreading rate, etc. Fifth is running. When a thin layer of paint is coating on a glossy and smooth surface, the paint may run back and sometimes leaves small areas of surface uncovered. This defect is called running. Sixth is sagging. When a surface is to be painted with a thick layer of paint, the thick paint film may run downwards and form sagging of paint. It is similar to running, but here the sag of paint is very thick. Seventh defect is flaking. The detachment of paint film from the surface is called flaking. It occurs when the bond between surface and paint film is poor. To prevent this, the surface should be clean and rubbed with abrasive paper before applying paint. Eighth defect is blooming. Blooming is the defect caused due to improper ventilation, weathering, defective paint. In this case, dull patches are formed on the painted surface. Wrinkling. Wrinkling occurs when a thick layer of paint is to be coated on the surface. In this case, the paint film gets shrinks and develops scrolls on the surface as shown in the picture. It can be prevented by allowing the undercoat to dry completely prior to the application of final coat. 10th defect is flashing. The formation of glossy patches on this painted surface is called flashing. This is caused due to the poor quality of paint, weathering action, or poor workmanship. Then sponification. Sponification of paints occurred when the painted surface is exposed to chemicals such as alkalis. In this defect, soap patches are formed on the paint surface and paint film gets peeled off from the surface. 12th is alligatoring. Alligatoring is pattern cracking similar to the scales of an alligator. It occurs when the hard coat of paint is applied over the soft coat or existing coat of paint. To prevent this, a high quality oil-based primer should be used as a prime coat. 13th is checking. It is similar to alligatoring, but here cracks are limited to small area, unlike alligatoring cracks. It is caused when the paint is applied during very cold weather or due to application of paint prior to drying of undercoat. 14th and last defect is Mildew. Mildew is a form of fungus which grows well in warm, moist, and dark places. It grows rapidly and develops the gray colored patches on the painted surface. It also affects the bond between paint coats. It can be prevented by keeping the surface dry and clean before applying paint. If there is any trace of mildew growth, then wash the surface with the solution of bleach. Here, I am going to discuss the environmental hazards or dangers which is um, due to paints. Volatile organic compounds in paint are considered harmful to the environment and especially for people who work with them on a regular basis. Exposure to volatile organic compounds has been related to organic solvent syndrome, although this relation has been somewhat controversial. The controversial solvent 2-butoxyethanol is also used in paint production. Jurisdictions such as Canada, China, Europe, India, United States, and South Korea have definitions for volatile organic compounds in place, along with regulations to limit the use of volatile organic compounds in consumer products such as paint. In the US, environmental regulations, consumer demand, and advances in technology led to the development of low volatile organic compounds and zero volatile organic compound paints and finishes. These new paints are widely available and meet or exceed the old high VOC products in performance and cost effectiveness while having a significantly less impact on human and environmental health. A polychlorinated biphenyl was reported, which is published in 2009 in air samples collected in Chicago, Philadelphia, the Arctic, and several sites around the Great Lakes. Polychlorinated biphenyl is a global pollutant and was mired in the wastewater effluent from paint production. The widespread distribution of polychlorinated biphenyl suggests volatilization of this compound from surfaces, roofs, etc. Polychlorinated biphenyl (PCB) is present in consumer goods, including newspapers, magazines, and cardboard boxes, which usually contain color pigments. Therefore, a hypothesis exists that PCB congeners are present as byproduct in some current commercial pigments. Some hazards of breathing paint fumes. When it comes to home improvements around the house, there will be many things on your list to get to in an effort to reinvent your home's interior and exterior looks. Construction materials such as wood, glues, adhesives, flooring, furniture, and even paint have all been found and labeled to be sources of contamination within our home and will elevate the levels of pollutants in the home to new heights that we may have never experienced before. Among the list of construction materials classified as potentially dangerous to our environment and health, paint ranks high on the list as it produces extraordinary levels of volatile organic compounds into air that will leave us with poor indoor air quality and potential health effects from exposure to these hazardous chemicals. Paint comes in a variety of different types, such as water based, latex, acrylic, oil based, solvent based, and even zero VOC paint, which can all have different effects on the environment. Paint is a wonderful addition to our home's aesthetic. Maybe we picked a beautiful light blue to brighten our home, or even painted some chip paint to give our walls a more polished look. The applications of paint in the room can be just what our home needs after we apply After we apply paint to our homes, walls, or items, it can produce an amalgam of chemicals into the environment that will leave us with tainted indoor air quality, which can conversely lead to potential health issues in those who are exposed. Right after we finish painting, the paint will begin a process called off-gassing that produces chemicals into the air upon exposure into an environment. Volatile organic compounds, which is also known as VOCs, are the most uh, prevalent chemicals found within the composition of paint and can raise the pollution levels in the space drastically. During the off-gassing process, these VOCs are the chemicals that get released back into the air and create the pungent odor that we associate with paint fumes in the air. How long do paint fumes last? When paint fumes begin to emit into the environment inside our home, the smell will float within the area and rapidly spread into the airspace. The fumes, which are an amalgam of chemicals or VOCs in the air that are being off-gassed, will commence this process as it becomes acclimated to the home's condition. VOCs are compounds that are used in manufacturing of many household items, and when these items are introduced into a climate-controlled environment like a home, it will turn these solid or liquid compounds into a gas that will spread rapidly throughout the air of indoor space. These volatile organic compounds will release and off-gas into the air for quite a while following the introduction of chemicals into the environment. This can last for weeks to even months after first exposure. This is why the paint fumes from painting stay in our home for quite a while after the initial first painting of our home. What is present in paint and why does it smell? When it comes to paint, there are many different compounds that are used to form the paint. There are generally four main ingredients that are used in the composition of paint: pigments, binders, solvents, and additives. Pigments are used in paint to provide color along with hiding properties and bulking the consistency of paint. Binders provide performance of paint and support the ability for paint to dry quicker. Solvents are liquids that provide pathway for pigments and binder to get onto the surfaces. The solvents are used usually oil-based, alkyl, or latex. Lastly, additives found in paint give it the ability to create additional performance properties such as the thickening agent, surfactants and soaps, biocides, defoamers, and co-solvents. The additives are typically the components that contain the most dangerous chemicals that are found in the paint. The smell that it emits is more than just a smell. It is actually a mix of chemicals that, when combined together in the environment, will form an odor that will be difficult to remove. As we discussed earlier, VOCs in the paint are responsible for the noxious odor fumes from the paint, and this is true as to why paint has a strong smell. The VOCs released into the air from the paint will produce upwards to 1,000 times higher levels of chemicals in the indoor air. Oftentimes, we will paint um, in our homes, including rooms that we sleep in, that will need time to air out before we go back to sleeping in this indoor space. The harmful and potent fumes produced from the paint will off gas into the room as the paint dries and make it very dangerous for people to be exposed to these heightened chemical spaces. The length of time that it may be potentially dangerous to sleep in a room that has been freshly painted can range depending on a number of different factors, including type of paint that was used and the amount of paint that was applied in environment, and how much airflow and ventilation is available in this environment. However, that as long as we have increased airflow and proper ventilation in the room continuously, then we should be able to re-enter the room within 3 to 5 days after painting. and painting of gassing has finished. But for those who are particularly sensitive to chemicals and their odors, it may take even longer than that before you can re-enter and sleep in this room. Inhaling paint fumes symptoms. As paint fumes float in the air and become inhaled or ingested by those in the area, it can trigger and elicit a bout of symptoms within these individuals that can range depending on the level of exposure and the amount of chemical VOCs present in the air. The different symptoms from paint fumes that one may experience after they have been exposed to these fumes includes headache, nausea, fatigue, dizziness, confusion, difficulty breathing, and potential issues with kidney, brain, and liver damage. How to get rid of paint smell in room. The process of removing paint smell from our home or in a room can be extensive and require many steps or methods to implement to rid the odorous chemicals from the environment's air. When we begin painting, it can be helpful to keep windows wide open and place fans in the window to pull the contaminated air filled with VOCs out of the air in the enclosed space of room. By placing fans and opening windows during the painting process, it will help reduce exposure to the paint fumes during the painting process. The real issue of paint smell comes after the painting has taken place in the environment. The smell of paint fumes can last for days, weeks, and sometimes even months after the painting takes place. The fastest way to reduce and ultimately get rid of paint smell is to use an effective air purifier for VOC paint removal. And VOC air purifier for paint fumes. Air purifiers are devices that are used to clean and filter the air of pollutants, ultimately helping to improve and protect the air quality within these indoor spaces. There are many different types of air purifiers available to consumers. These purifiers will vary in technology, which means that they will vary in effectiveness against certain airborne pollutants such as odors, particulates, and even chemicals. Carbon technology. We can reduce VOCs from the environment by carbon technology, a popular air purifier technology that is typically used during situations like painting where VOC concentration is high in environment is carbon technology. Carbon uses a process called adsorption that takes toxic gases and retracts them to the carbon filter, allowing it to stick to the media. Over time, as the filter begins to filter entirely, the carbon technology will begin releasing these gaseous chemicals back into the air, repolluting the air. Most commonly used air purifier is EnviroCleanse air purifier. The EnviroCleanse air purifier, on the other hand, is an air purifier technology that uses adsorptive neutralization, where the chemical is captured and completely broken down or neutralized, eliminating the risk of release in the future. EnviroCleanse uses a process that is scientifically backed with patented earth mineral technology that is highly effective for chemical and odor neutralization in the air. The EnviroCleanse core chemistry irreversibly captures and neutralizes the VOCs in paint fumes and does so by utilizing their adsorptive neutralization process where the earth minerals neutralize and destroy the chemicals from the environment. Here is the graph in which it shows the concentration that is reduced from the environment. In this chamber study, a volatile organic chemical was released in an environmental chamber under ambient conditions. The EnviroCleanse air system was used with the EnviroCleanse air cartridge, and HEPA filter inside. The test unit was placed in a sealed test chamber, which measuring 1,000 cubic feet. Air samples were taken from test chamber. Once the unit was turned on, the process was then repeated without the test unit in the chamber to provide the natural decay results. The EnviroCleanse air system effectively removes hydrogen sulfide from the environment at 99% in 4 hours. And that's all from my side. Thank you.